Good afternoon. I greet you with love and peace to this, the law school convocation. As is our tradition at these monumentous university events, we pause to acknowledge the land on which the university stands and the peoples who steward that land. I invite you to stand as you are able, and please remain standing throughout the land acknowledgement and the invocation to follow. As you are able, please rise. We take this moment to recognize that Stanford sits on the ancestral and unceded land of the Muwekma Ohlone tribe. This land was and continues to be of great importance to the Ohlone people. We recognize that every member of Stanford has and continues to benefit from the use and occupation of this land since the institution's founding in 1885. Consistent with our values of community and diversity, we have a responsibility to acknowledge and make visible the university's relationship to Native people.
In a spirit and honor and reverence, let us be together. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the most merciful, the most compassionate.
God, compassionate one, who forgives and does not destroy. In short-term crises, we ask, how will we get through this? In long-term crises, we ask, why are we here? You, here today, have answered both by choosing to dedicate yourself to the pursuit of law.
May the law you practice be bound by justice, adl, sidq, in which rights are returned, and may it be bound by compassion, rahmah, rachamim, which heals and enables us to feel whole. May we learn from these inequities, imagine a better world, and be a means of realizing that better world. May this class be a part of that change.
May we bring a discerning mind and a heart of wisdom. May we care for one another just as we care for ourselves.
May we use our learning and law to repair the brokenness in our world. May our learning, our teaching, and our living be guided by courageous loving. As we move forward together, may we remain curious, steadfast, engaged, and open-hearted. May we be seekers of justice and peace for the benefit of humanity. May it be so. Amen. You may be seated.
Hello. Are you guys hot yet? We'll get settled in because my speech is really, really long. Dean Martinez, distinguished faculty, and members of the classes of 2022, 23, and 24, thank you so much for having me. It is truly an honor to be here, and I am extra thrilled that we are all able to gather in person today. My name is Elsa Chang. I'm one of the hosts of NPR's All Things Considered, and I have to say, when I first got the email from Dean Martinez inviting me to speak at your convocation, I have to admit that the first thought that crossed my mind was, are you sure, really? Because I quit being a lawyer 15 years ago. Am I really the best person to be standing in front of a group of young, aspiring lawyers at the beginning of an academic year to tell all of you, keep going? You are all totally on the right path, because I ditched that path 5 years after leaving this place. And what's interesting is that since I quit the law, this incredible law school has asked me back 3 separate times to speak to its students and its alumni. about what I've been doing since ditching the traditional legal path. There's even a profile of me in the Stanford Law School Alumni magazine. And I guess what I'm realizing is that I have never been so interesting to lawyers until I quit being a lawyer. And I think the reason for that is that the people who run this law school are very smart and very real about one thing, and that is they deeply understand that the education you are going to be set up with when you leave this place, it is not going to confine you in a box. It is not going to constrain who you can be. It will not limit the possibilities that will spill forth when you leave this place. But the thing is, it's up to you to open your eyes to all the things that a top-flight legal education will make available to you. It's up to you to be creative and curious about what you can do with your law degree. And I guess I'm one of the weird examples out there of someone who just sort of accidentally discovered this on my own. So I think that's why Stanford Law School has asked me to come back to speak to all of you, because they think it is important for you to hear my story. So here it is. I was one of those people who grew up kind of just blazing through life as an overachiever, as I know everyone here was, right? Because that's how we got into a place like Stanford Law School. We were all awesome students. We did all the right extracurriculars. Everyone here is truly excellent at excelling. And I was convinced that growing up, I wanted to be a lawyer because I was this total speech and debate nerd. I loved to argue. I loved to speak in public. And the very thought of aspiring to be a lawyer was something that made my parents really, really proud. Also, I hated bullies. And I wanted to have a job one day that would give me the ability to fight bullies. So when I got to law school, I ended up loving the people I met, because everyone here, as you will find soon enough, for those of you who are first years, everyone here is like hyper smart, super dedicated, deeply eloquent, compassionate, and passionate. And I was thinking, yes, this is the community that I want to belong to. These are the people I want to identify with. I love the rigor of law school. I love the larger ethical questions of fairness that the law forces you to think about. All through law school, I pictured myself as some sort of warrior in the making, someone who was going to learn how to stand up to bullies, someone who was going to learn how to stand up for what is right. Well, after Stanford Law, I did what a lot of good little law students do. I went and got an appellate clerkship. I clerked on the Ninth Circuit in San Francisco. And to this day, by the way, let me just tell you, there is no other job I've ever had that is a more beautiful combination of interesting work, feeling needed and important, and having awesome work hours. Of course, it depends on your judge. I get that. But anyway, all through my clerkship, I was still totally convinced that I was meant to be a lawyer. And then I ended up at a law firm, to be specific, Munger, Tolles & Olson in San Francisco, which was this incredible collection of some of the smartest lawyers in the country. I mean, I couldn't tell you exactly why I wanted to be in a law firm back then, but I could tell you that I wanted to be with people who were like the ones I met at Munger. All up and down the hallway were former Supreme Court clerks, former federal prosecutors. These were people who could do anything they wanted to in the world, but they all chose to be at a law firm. And I thought, okay, I'm going to take my cue from them. I'm going to stay at this law firm too. But the thing that I could not get past, the thing that I could not ignore, even though the rest of my life felt like I had totally made it, was the fact that I really hated my job. Like, I intensely hated being at a law firm. It just wasn't for me. I mean, I'm sorry to offend anyone here who is committed to being at a law firm, but law firm life just didn't access the parts of my personality that I liked best about myself. The part of me that wanted to follow her curiosity freely. The part of me that loves to connect with people from all walks of life. The crazy free spirit part of me that just didn't quite fit in at a law firm. And I have to say, it was the first time in my life that I realized you can have all the pedigreed education in the world. You can collect all the brass rings you want. You can be so excellent at excelling. But after that, you just kind of get spit out into the world, and that is when you realize it is up to you to figure out what makes you happy, what gives you purpose, what work gives your life meaning. That is all up to you. And for me, that was a really scary realization. So I ended up quitting the law firm on June 30th, 2006. I remember the exact day. I was 30 years old, and I had absolutely no idea what I was going to do for the rest of my life. Absolutely no plans. And when I quit the law firm, my parents were so pissed, like so pissed at me. You see, they had emigrated here from Taiwan in the 1960s, and in their eyes, they had done everything their entire lives to set me up with everything. They, at that point when they first got here, barely spoke any English. They had no money. And I was set up with everything. I was the one who was supposed to launch. But when I walked away from the law firm, to them, I was walking away from everything that they had hoped and dreamed for me. And I cannot tell you how difficult it was between me and my parents during this time, because they were so deeply disappointed in me. Like, I was always the kid, up until then, that they bragged about. And now I was the kid who had no job and no direction. And it was really painful to feel for the first time in my life that my parents were not proud of me. And it was during this incredibly hard time that I kind of accidentally found public radio. You see, I needed something to do. I didn't have a job. I was stuck in my apartment. On top of that, my boyfriend had just dumped me, so I was lonely and heartbroken. And then I had foot surgery, so I was limping around San Francisco in this walking cast. The whole situation was totally pathetic, and I thought, I got to get out of my apartment. I just need to be around people for a while I figure my life out. So just as an act of self-therapy, I signed up for an unpaid internship at KQED. That's the NPR member station in San Francisco. Not because I was remotely thinking, I'm going to transition to journalism. It was because I was just a public radio listener. And I thought that the people on the radio sounded nice and down to earth and smart. And I thought it would be a mentally healthy thing for me to hang out with them while I figured out my life. So I get to KQED, and remember, I am now in my early 30s at this point, and my co-interns, they're in college. They're 19, 20-year-olds, and they're looking at me and they're thinking, what are you even doing here? You graduated from Stanford Law School? You practiced law? Why are you answering the phones with us? I mean, yeah, it was a little weird at first, but I ended up loving that internship. I was a booker, meaning I pre-interviewed potential guests. I prepped the hosts on various topics. I loved the freedom to jump from story to story, topic to topic, to just follow my curiosity. And something came alive inside me. You see, I came to realize inside that newsroom that there were things in the world I cared very much about, that I wanted to teach people about. The failures of our criminal justice system, how power can corrupt, the deep economic inequalities in our society, all of these things. And all through law school, when I was picturing myself as this warrior in the making, all those old feelings, they came back. Yeah, it took a few years after leaving this place. And yeah, it literally took leaving the traditional practice of law to reconnect with some of the fundamental reasons I went to law school in the first place. But I have to say, my parents did not get it. They could not understand why I would be drawn to this profession, journalism, that had so little stability, so little pay. And they were like, why do you want to be on the radio? Why don't you want to be on TV like Connie Chung? I mean, they literally said that to me. And we were fighting so much during this time. And that is when I decided to write my very first radio story about exactly this. It was a personal essay that aired on KQED back in 2007. And I want to play just a tiny piece of that story for you guys right now. But I also want to say sorry, because the way my radio voice sounded back then really makes me cringe now. But anyway, you're going to get a treat. Here we go. This essay begins with my mother's voice.
One day, my daughter told me, "Mom, I wanted to be Attorney General." So I When she has a dream, I also have a dream with her.
That's my mother. She always got so excited when her kids dreamed. When I was younger, I really did want to be Attorney General. And sure enough, I became a lawyer. I was always convinced that I wanted to be a lawyer. I liked to write. I liked to argue. And the idea of being a lawyer really made my parents proud.
She said she wanted to go to law school. Finally going to Stanford Law School. I was really excited. This is it. Everybody says Stanford Law School is the door to all the future success, and my daughter is in there. So she got a law degree from Stanford Law School with high honor. That was the moment was my really a great joy in my life. She got one of the first-class job in the law firm, one of the most prestigious law firm in San Francisco. I said, that's it. My daughter make it. I was really proud of my daughter. But then she make a U-turn.
I'll stop that story right there. Yeah, okay, Dad, I did. I made a huge U-turn. But you know what? I don't think I would be standing here today talking to all of you if I never made that U-turn. I am here to tell you that being a lawyer means so much more than simply the practice of law. I still consider myself a lawyer, even though I'm saying that to you as a journalist. Because ultimately, to me, being a lawyer is about being a guardian for what is right. It is a profession that seeks to hold power accountable, that seeks to expose injustice, that seeks to interrogate the truth. Those are the values of law, and those are also the values of journalism. That is why I still feel very much engaged with what this law school strives to teach all of you. But what this law school won't teach you, what it cannot teach you, is who you are. Who do you want to help? What in this world gets you angry enough, indignant enough, to make you want to do something to change it? That, my friends, is entirely up to you to figure out. My advice to all of you today is be prepared to throw out the plan. I mean, take it from one overachiever to another. The worst thing an overachiever can do is to think that achieving your way through life is going to get you the kind of life that you want. I mean, there is no question a Stanford law degree is going to give you a certain amount of power in this world. Believe me, I still love it when I'm interviewing a lawyer and then I just occasionally, casually drop that I went to Stanford Law School. I always get this, oh, because it's always like that, right? Especially among lawyers. They're always trying to size each other up. Well, in a world that will constantly try to judge you, a Stanford law degree will speak volumes. It will open doors for you. People will expect and assume things about you simply because you graduated from this place. And that is something that you are going to have the rest of your lives. But I ask you this, please use that privilege with care. Do something meaningful with it. It's okay if you make a U-turn, if you make several U-turns. You owe it to yourself to take the time to figure out what it is that is your purpose. People are going to listen to what you have to say, in part, because you graduated from a place like Stanford Law School. So take the time to figure out what it is you want to say. I am still so damn proud to have graduated from this law school. I am so damn honored to share this day with you. And I cannot tell you how many times I had to promise my parents that this speech was getting videotaped because they definitely want to see it after this ceremony. I mean, now they are very, very, very proud of me. It took a while, but we got there. So I just want to urge you all. Yes, keep charging ahead. Keep being awesome. But make sure that you keep being honest with yourselves. Okay? Best of luck to you. Enjoy the year. And thank you so, so much for having me here. Thank you.
Welcome to Stanford Law School. I'm Caroline Wyatt, and this is Julia Gleason. We are the co-presidents of the Stanford Law Association, the law school's student government. For the incoming students who have already had a few weeks of classes, we'd like to welcome you once again to the Stanford Law community. We already met many of you during orientation, and we're looking forward to seeing you chart your own course here. To returning students, welcome back. We are so excited to interact with you more in person this year. Convocation is a fairly new SLS tradition, but we hope it comes to represent a time of togetherness and reflection before the school year begins in earnest. We are all starting this year with certain goals. Maybe you want to find a better balance between work and play. Maybe you are looking forward to a clinic or a pro bono opportunity. Whatever you are hoping to achieve this year, we wish you the best, and as SLA co-presidents, we want to be a source of support. We have goals as well. On a personal note, I want to spend more time exploring the Bay Area and California's great outdoors. But as SLA co-presidents, we are looking forward to hosting more in-person events, expanding and publicizing the school's mental health resources, and working with Dean Steinbach on issues of diversity and inclusion.
We want to take the time now to acknowledge what an incredibly difficult time these past 18 months or so have been. To the 3L class, who has spent most of their law school careers in COVID, we want to underscore our commitment to making your final year of law school as successful as it can be. For some students, this year got off to a rocky start with the new communications rollout. We want you to know that we take your feedback seriously and are committed to creating an equitable solution. I ran for SLA co-president because of a sense of disenfranchisement that I felt last year during not only a global pandemic, but an intense election cycle that culminated in a Capitol riot. As law students, we felt the effects of those challenges uniquely, and we are still grappling with many of those today. What sustained me last year was the incredible SLS community. When I was struggling, I felt grateful for my compassionate, caring classmates and their unyielding support. I urge all of you to extend great care and compassion to one another, as well as make time for your own self-care. Caroline and I are committed to serving this wonderful, diverse community. Thus far, our committees have put in tremendous effort to ensure that this year is a success. The Academic Affairs Committee recently submitted a proposal to maintain the mandatory pass grading system for the 1Ls during their fall quarter based on student feedback and an acknowledgement of the ongoing pandemic. The Mental Health and Wellness Committee will soon be rolling out Wellness SLS, a program that includes wellness groups and Wellness Wednesdays to support the mental health of the student body. Finally, our community development team is working hard to plan events for all law students, starting with the SLA tailgate this Saturday. With your help, we can create a community of which we are all proud.
In closing, we'd like to express our gratitude to all of you, from the dean to the staff to the faculty, and to all of our fellow students. Our community is stronger because of you.
We are so excited to start this new year with you and cannot wait to meet or reconnect in person. Welcome to Stanford Law School. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Gloria Chikaonda. I'm a second-year JSD candidate representing advanced degree students here at SLS. These include the LLMs in corporate governance and practice, environmental law and policy, law, science and technology, international economic business and policy, the SPILLS program, and the JSDs. The JSDs are a group of students who attained our law degrees abroad and are now pursuing doctoral studies in law. As I've had to explain to countless people before, yes, a PhD in law is a thing. After the year and a half we've had, it's difficult to know exactly what's appropriate to say to usher in a new year. But I wanted to share a little about my experience as a student of this law school for the last 2 years, in hopes that it will inspire both the incoming JDs and advanced degree classes. I'm sure you have heard time and again throughout orientation that one of the best things you will get out of your time here at SLS is the connections you will make with incredible people. I don't know about you, but when I first got here, after hearing this said 100 times, I started to be a little skeptical of how true it would be. Because isn't it the case that so many new places make many promises and yet fail to deliver? But I want you to rest assured that in this particular case, about this particular place, it is true. In the midst of a hellish year, I met a shining light in the form of Professor Deborah Rhodey. As many of you will be, I was eager to take advantage of the range of unconventional legal courses on offer at SLS, so I took Professor Rhodey's class on lawyers and leadership in the spring of 2020. For the first time, I stepped into a class that was dedicated to asking questions about the deep ethical dilemmas that we are faced with as legal practitioners and powerful elites in a practical, critical, yet creative way. She used a variety of methods to bring to our attention that developing a good character was just as crucial a part of our legal education as any other skill we would learn here. I have been a student in the academy for a very long time, probably too long, first in South Africa and now here. She is the first professor I have known to make a potentially offensive statement during class and the very next day, and without provocation, publicly address and apologize for that mistake. A gender and ethics legal giant, a kind woman and exemplary leader. Although I only knew her for a year, she left a lasting impact on me and the outlook I have on my role in the legal and academic professions. She is an example of the kind of legal education and the kind of people you will have the opportunity to experience at SLS. I hope that you can open yourselves up to that experience with intention and courage. So, you are embarking on a new chapter in your legal careers, and at a time of increased uncertainty, a time where issues around race, class, and gender threaten our world. While on this journey, I hope that you will remember, as Professor Rhodey would have urged us all, to not just be good lawyers, but to be good leaders, and above all, to be good people. Good luck.
We are almost to the end of the program, but I do want to give permission for those who are sitting in the sun, if you're feeling uncomfortable, to make it socially acceptable for you to stand up and seek refuge in the shade for the remaining portion of the program, and that includes those on the stage. It is, I think, even warmer than the weather forecast predicted when we planned this ceremony. So please, if you are feeling uncomfortable or dizzy, please don't hesitate to stand up now or throughout the rest of the program. And seek some refuge under the trees. Well, welcome everyone to this convocation. It's so wonderful to have our students, faculty, staff, and alumni, along with others from around the university, gathered together to start this academic year. The past year and a half have been extraordinarily challenging for those here at the law school and those around the world in different ways. And I want to acknowledge how challenging it has been and how many challenges we still face in different ways as we begin to embark on this school year that is closer to normal, but still will never be the same as it was in 2019 because the world has been changed and our eyes have been opened in different ways to the world around us than they were before the pandemic. Convocation is an event designed to bring us together at the start of the academic year to reflect on our mission. And as we come here to celebrate, I want to acknowledge all of the different perspectives, identities, and people who make up our community. Here at SLS, we have 63 full-time faculty members whose research and teaching mark them as national and international leaders in their fields. Whether publishing path-breaking scholarship or mentoring students one-on-one, we have the best law faculty in the world. We have a number of lecturers, full and part-time, who bring practical legal expertise to the classroom and contribute to the unparalleled legal education we provide. Our 197 staff members keep this place running and provide vital intellectual and professional leadership in support of the school's research and teaching missions. We have research fellows, data scientists, librarians, IT experts, custodial staff, career counselors, administrative assistants, web designers, and so many other experienced professionals. Some members of our staff have been here for over 40 years and have helped us adapt to the ever-changing educational and professional landscape over the decades. As for our students, you are an astonishing group and consistently throughout the years have hailed from all over the country and the world. This year, 692 of you call SLS home. 578 JD students, and 114 advanced degree students in the JSD, JSM, and LLM programs. In addition, we have 7 foreign exchange students joining us for this quarter. You're from nearly every state in the US, as well as many countries around the globe. You speak languages ranging from Arabic to Hindi to Lakota to Mandarin to Russian. You're equally skilled in an impressive number of computer programming languages, some with unpronounceable acronyms as names. You're graced with athletic skills. Among your ranks are swimmers, soccer players, runners who are long distance, sprinters, and every other distance in between, rowers, skiers, scuba divers, snowboarders, basketball and football players, cyclists, figure skaters, sailors, and surfers. You're adventurous and you thrive outdoors, hiking, including volcano hiking, backpacking, lifeguarding, rock climbing, skydiving, bungee jumping, hang gliding, birding. I hope you all have good insurance for some of these things. Canoeing are just some of your interests. You're talented musicians, you're volunteers, you have a love for board games, for puzzles, for baking, cooking, juggling, and magic tricks. You're into gardening, beekeeping, antiquing, DJing, geocaching, slam poetry, and beer brewing. In your pre-SLS life, you were consultants, analysts, debate, moot court, and mock trial enthusiasts, project managers, speechwriters, patent agents, managers, legal assistants, health advocates, legislative assistants, writers, reporters, and editors, military veterans, paralegals, camp counselors, policy advisors, press aides and press secretaries, teachers, engineers, researchers, political organizers, campaign coordinators, crisis counselors, homelessness and domestic violence advocates, student government leaders, research scientists, trained EMT responders, computer programmers, and for those of you pursuing advanced degrees with us, attorneys and policymakers in specialty fields in your home countries. In the past few years, as I've looked at the profound changes and challenges facing society, issues like persistent racial inequality, climate change, migration and refugee issues, questions of free speech and democracy in the age of Facebook and Google, and the role of new technologies like artificial intelligence, 2 things have become increasingly apparent. First, that lawyers have a vital role to play in ensuring that our societies and legal systems adequately respond to these issues. And second, that lawyers cannot do this by working only with other lawyers or sitting alone in their offices thinking about these issues. Instead, these issues can only adequately be addressed by lawyers working with those clients out in the world who are affected by these laws and policies, centering the voice of those clients and working with those from other disciplines, engineers, scientists, business people, economists, and historians. We do all of that here at SLS through the work of our clinics, our research centers, and policy labs, all of which are grounded in an understanding and contributing to the world. And fundamental to that work we do here is the way that all of us engage with each other, both inside and outside the classroom. As an institution of higher education and a law school preparing students for the legal profession, we're necessarily committed to values of freedom of expression and inquiry. Education requires the willingness to consider evidence that contradicts prior assumptions and a commitment to try to understand other perspectives before making up our minds. At this critical juncture in addressing so many difficult questions as a society, as government and politics are increasingly polarized and dysfunctional, I believe places like Stanford have a profoundly important role to play in bringing together expertise from across disciplines to create and disseminate evidence-based knowledge and to train the next generation to help society grapple with these problems. Stanford law students are here not just to become competent lawyers, but leaders in society and the profession. I was so delighted to have our alum Elsa Chang here today to talk about her career, because I think the breadth of experience that all of you bring here to your studies of law is reflected in the career paths and leadership of our alumni. One of the great privileges I've had as dean is getting out into the world to talk to our alums. And what is truly inspiring are the many different ways in which they contribute as leaders to our society, whether in law firms, in government, in the nonprofit sector, in journalism, or business. And it's those leadership skills and the rigorous way of thinking that you're trained in the law school here that prepares you for a very diverse array of careers. And many U-turns along the way, I think, are typical. To achieve this, SLS must offer all of you the skills needed to flourish in these many career paths. This includes not only knowledge of the law and legal reasoning, but awareness of systemic legal failure, not only skills such as legal research and writing, but the cognitive and emotional skills needed to mediate conflicts, to hear divergent viewpoints, and to express your own viewpoints and advocate for your clients on terms that enhance rather than diminish understanding. As I stand here describing our mission and the hallmarks of legal education in which all of us are engaged, I'm thrilled to be celebrating also one of our faculty who's a fundamental part of executing our goals to educate you, one who embodies the spirit of the newly established Barbara Allen Babcock Prize for Excellence in Teaching, which we announced last spring. Barbara Allen Babcock was the first woman on the Stanford Law School faculty, appointed after establishing a pioneering career providing legal defense services to the poor, including as the first director of the DC Public Defender Service. She was a legendary scholar and teacher here and won the John Bingham Hurlbut Teaching Prize 4 times. That's the teaching prize we award at commencement, in no small part because of her experience and skill as a trial lawyer, her love for the practice of law, her scrupulous preparation for every class, her unique gift for bringing cases and the real-life consequences of litigation to life through storytelling, and the extraordinary effort she made to connect with students of many different backgrounds and support them through law school and well afterwards as a mentor. This prize was established by the law school last year to recognize instructors in the 1L required curriculum who promote inclusive learning, intellectual rigor, and commitment to the highest standards of professional integrity, mentorship, and service. It is my very deep pleasure to award the first Barbara Allen Babcock Prize to Professor Diego Zambrano. You can join me in here. Go. Yeah, we can take a picture. Or okay. All right. Professor Zambrano has consistently received exceptional teaching evaluations and receives extraordinary marks from students for his work with them outside the classroom to help them acclimate to law school. He pays particular attention in the classroom to shaping inclusive discussion and changing his methods based on student feedback. Before today, Professor Zambrano's excellence in the classroom was generally known to the law school community, but it's comments solicited from his students that drove home why he is so deserving of this inaugural award. In one student's words, he is one of the best prepared teachers I've ever had in my life. The quote-unquote best professor of all time, life-changing. Another wrote, I loved how Professor Zambrano encouraged us to think critically about civil procedure and the American judicial system. And yet another, it is not an easy class. But by the end, I feel like I've learned a whole lot in a short amount of time. While being demanding, he's not difficult to talk with and makes an effort to connect with the students. This was my favorite course this quarter. And as another student summarized, I really enjoyed everything about this class. Professor Zambrano broke highly complex issues into digestible pieces. He was by far my most prepared professor, the most diligently on topic, and the one who invested the most in getting to know each of us. The class was challenging, but I think it allowed our class to learn together, bond, and rise to the high bar set. So Professor Zambrano, I'm so proud to present you with this award, and we're glad that you could be here today as we all celebrate this accomplishment. I'm likewise so proud to see all of you here today, the students, engaged in this collective effort of legal education. When I think about all the passion and excitement that our students bring, and the knowledge, wisdom, and experience of our faculty and staff, I know we have so much to contribute to the world. The work you will do this year is important, not only to your own careers, but to the world. To all those you will serve through your work as advocates, counselors, and leaders. To this community, this country, and the world. As you engage in study, research, and work this year, I hope you will keep that bigger picture in mind of the vital role of the rule of law in flourishing societies and the role of lawyers in protecting and promoting the rule of law, fairness, equality, and respect for human dignity. I wish you all the best in the coming year and beyond.
Let us be together one last time in this beautiful, albeit a little warm, space. As this moment comes to a close, we turn toward the year unfolding before us. May we hold fast to this moment of being together again, even amid an ever-changing and uncertain landscape, transformed forever by these ongoing pandemics. At this critical juncture in our world, may we in this year come to embrace the vital role of the rule of law in addressing the world's most pressing problems. May we never be afraid of taking a U-turn toward that deepest desire and passion of our heart, following our curiosities, no longer confined or constrained by who we think we ought to be, but rather reaching toward who we want to be. And above all, may we open ourselves this year with intention and courage, not just to be good lawyers, but to be good leaders, and above all, to be good people. So may it be this year and all years. Amen.